For all the juvenile justice stakeholders present, you have had an opportunity to network with educators and others outside of the court system. For the educators, you have hopefully seen a glimpse of what the role of the juvenile justice system is and how it can protect public while at the same time believe that all of our kids are capable of success, no exceptions. As you have heard throughout the conference, the state of Arizona is committed to becoming a Kids at Hope state. All 15 court directors, our 15 counties have embraced the Kids at Hope framework and are committed to changing the culture. So too is Chief Justice Scott Bales. Chief Justice Bales' strategic agenda is advancing justice together, courts and communities. Goal 2 is protecting children, families, and communities. This embodies the culture framework of Kids at Hope. Today is with great pleasure that I introduce Chief Justice Bales of the Arizona Supreme Court. Justice Bales.
You know, for decades, our juvenile justice system tended to categorize children as youth at risk. These were kids that had somehow gotten tripped up in the legal system, and the danger was they were just going to fall further below the net. But we know that the results are very much affected if we think of it differently, if we think of them as kids at hope, as children that have an opportunity to succeed if they have the right support, they have the right encouragement, the right recognition from adults. And making that change from youth at risk to Kids at Hope is not easy, because a lot of what I'm talking about reflects long-held ways of doing things. It reflects culture. It reflects assumptions that the familiar is the good and the correct. Changing cultures is difficult. It's painful. It takes a lot of time. I'm delighted that you're all here because you're part of that effort, an important and a critical part. Now, you've heard inspiring stories all week that offer some insight into the kinds of successes that we can realize based on the 3 universal truths of Kids at Hope. Those important truths: first, that children succeed when they're surrounded by adults who believe they can succeed. Second, that children succeed when they have meaningful and sustainable relationships with adults. And third, children succeed when they can articulate their own futures in terms of 4 destinations: their home and family, their education and career, their community and service, and their own hobbies and recreation. I am pleased to say that Arizona's Supreme Court embraces the Kids at Hope philosophy. Our staff has been working with Rick Miller, the Chief Treasure Hunter and CEO of Kids at Hope, towards becoming what some refer to as the first Kids at Hope state. That's taken many steps. Our first was to educate our court directors throughout the state and to ask each county to identify Kids at Hope trainers. You've met some of the individuals involved in that exercise. They received in-depth training to enable them to act as mentors, and we've taught them to give Kids at Hope training in each of their own counties. The second phase began with Rick Miller actually touring our state. We wanted him to go into each county to interview the court directors, the probation and detention officers, and detained youth. He wanted to see, and this was quite appropriate, how the philosophy, the principles of Kids at Hope were actually being implemented on the ground here in Arizona. He traveled with our probation officers. He sat with them as they were going over case plans and as they interacted with supervised youth. He went along with some of our surveillance officers to experience firsthand whether they were actually putting into practice the role of being a treasure hunter. Now, you've heard from people in our courts here in Arizona, the court directors at Yuma County, Maricopa County, and Yavapai County, and you've seen, I'm sure, palpably their commitment to work with their communities to implement Kids at Hope principles. First, as Director Kilroy mentioned, one of our identified goals in our strategic agenda is protecting children, families, and communities. In Arizona, the position of Chief Justice rotates every 5 years. I became chief 2 years ago, and coinciding with the change in Chief Justices, the court adopts a new strategic agenda. It's meant to outline our goals for the chief's tenure, and it to me seems self-evident that one of our most important roles within the justice system is to protect our most vulnerable, including our children. And we're trying to do that by identifying systemic changes like the implementation statewide of Kids at Hope.